everyone, it's me, Nikki. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am here with just a little quick wrap up of some books I have read. I've read a lot. Very happy. It's all thanks to the amazing readathon that I'm doing. And these are ones that I will be getting rid of, basically. One is part of a series, so I'm actually going to finish the series and then get rid of this whole series. And the other two, I don't have any other copies, so we'll start with the first one. Well, excuse me, it's the one on top. It's What the River Knows. I actually DNF'd this one. I got spoiled for the ending by looking up the second book, which is fine. I love spoilers. It makes my reading experience much less anxiety ridden when I know what happens. But then I get to find out how it happens, if that makes sense. And this is sold as Death on the Nile and the Mummy. Because it's set in Egypt, I believe. I didn't get that far into it, so I don't know if there's actual... I don't know if there's a murder mystery or if there are mummies. There is magic. There is also a enemies to lovers type of thing, but they have banter in the beginning, and it was cute, but it wasn't I think I've said this before. My top tier banter is Katharine Hepburn and any of her romantic comedies, specifically with Spencer Tracy or Beatrice and Benedict from Shakespeare in Love. So it's nothing will ever top those, but it didn't even hit enemies to lovers or whatever it was supposed to be in The Mummy. It wasn't hitting that vibe, and I was like, okay, I'll keep going. And then they're broken up into parts, and so I got to part 2 and I was like, okay, let me see what other people have said, because I do I do form my own opinion, but I do like to say if other people are feeling the same as me. And you usually are. So I flipped to the end, and there isn't a true ending. It is the hook for the next one. And I didn't like the hook. So I was like, I'm not going to read the second one, and I'm not really vibing with this, so I'm going to have to DNF it. But besides that, this is about Inez, she finds out her parents they're missing, presumed dead, in Egypt. And she is in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And she goes to Egypt after she's 19 to find out what happens, but her uncle, who's now in charge of the money, he keeps telling her to leave. He won't tell her what happened. He won't tell her anything. And so she's like, no, thanks. I want to find out what happens. So that's what she does, and that's sort of where I left it. One thing I wasn't quite sure of, and especially because it's got the Mummy in the Mummy 2, the Scorpion King, they take their son everywhere with them. If they go to Egypt, their son goes to Egypt. Her parents have been going to Egypt since she was a kid, and they've never taken her. And that's really suspicious, and even though they want to instill this love of Egypt in her, which she does have, they don't take her there. That was weird to me. And there's a whole bunch of stuff about what the British have done to Egypt, which is nothing good. And it all sort of plays into that, and I just wasn't vibing with it, and it just wasn't for me, and I know a lot of people love it. So I will be selling this copy, so hopefully it finds somebody who loves it. And it's okay not to, you don't have to vibe with every book, These next two I did finish, because I was sort of hooked to see how they ended, but So this one is Seafire. This is a trilogy. It is about Caledonia Styx, who is the captain of a ship that is all female, all women, or female, girls and women. I didn't see a lot of like older women. They all seem to be sort of teenagers, so probably just girls. And they fight against Eric, A-R-I-C, who has a crew of bullets who are all boys. And there's like some drug they take and it makes them strong. But they find a bullet who wants to defect, and he joins their crew, and then they go after Eric. She falls in love with said bullet, sort of out of nowhere. And it's strange because her best friend is really trying to get Caledonia to accept this bullet, and it seems like her best friend actually likes him, and then they just sort of kiss, and I was like, there's like forced proximity, and I was like, it kind of came out of nowhere, but whatever. And there are girls on the crew. Some are named, some are not. And I think what was really irritating, and I did see this in other reviews after we finished it, she is the captain, and she is like, she won't take anybody's opinion. Like, they get a new crewmate who is a better helmsman than the one they have, but she's like, no, she's new, she can't be on the helm right away. And it's like, well, then you're not really a good captain, you know, like, and this bullet is gonna help them, and her best friend is like trying to talk her around to it, and she's not a very likable main character, I didn't think. She carries a lot of guilt that she won't talk about, and then like when they're doing this whole thing, it's like she doesn't trust her crew even though they've been together forever. There is somebody said there wasn't a lesbian couple, but there is. It's just really, really slight. Like, it's a whole group of women. Of course there's gonna be romantic relationships. But I think I did see that it becomes a bigger deal in other books. But yeah, you know, solid 3 stars. I am kind of interested in where the other 2 books go. So yeah. And then the last one is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. This is not an Arthur retelling. It is what if Arthur was real and Camelot was real, which they kind of know where Camelot is, but you know what I mean. And like all of that magic Merlin, Morgana stuff is real. And then this is what happens. This is Gwendolyn. And she is in love with the only female knight, and that is Arthur, and that is Gwen's brother Gabriel, who doesn't really want to be king, and she doesn't really want to marry Arthur. But they're Gwen and Arthur; they have to get married. And basically, they find out that she's a lesbian and he is gay or bisexual. I think he's gay. He likes boys more than anything, but he'll flirt with anything. So they agree to pretend to be in love, and then they can go after whoever they want to. And then stuff happens which I wasn't expecting. There's like a battle, and it was pretty violent out of this little romantic comedy that they've got going on. And yeah, you know, it's a good book. I did like it, but I don't think I'll pick it up again or really think about it again, if that makes sense. You know how sometimes you're like, you've read a book and then it just suddenly pops into your head and you're like, oh, I should look at that book again. I don't know if that will ever happen with this. It sounds really awful when I say it out loud, but you know what I mean? So, yeah, those are the 3 books that I shall be removing from my library. This one, I have all 3 books, so I will finish the trilogy before getting rid of it. But these 2 I will be selling, along with some others in my collection that I feel like are this one. Like, I liked reading them and they were good reads, but I probably wouldn't think about them again. So, yeah. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!